Women in Theatre specialise in using monologues. It kind of came about because I went to see the Vagina Monologues, and I was struck by how many people were there. It was great, but I was also struck by how American it was and how very un-Brummy it was. And because the company specialises in health education, it seemed a really good way of putting over people's points of view using a variety of people's stories to audiences in an engaging way. So we were awarded some money from when the Women's Cancer Network disbanded, and we'd always wanted to do something about smear test, and we thought the moment had come, so we got some funding for it. So what we did is we went round and talked to women about their experiences of having smear tests, to doctors and health professionals, and then came up with the Cervical Monologues, which is accompanied by beautiful pictures of the cervix, which always shock people because very few people know what the cervix looks like.
A gateway.
I don't think you can see it in isolation. It's part of the whole structure.
Well, vagina means sheath of a sword.
Opening.
Safety net.
Fanning.
A hole.
Well, it looks like a penis.
Red.
Smears.
Cervix. Washing powder.
It ends with an X and it sounds more like a bone than a soft thing.
Something moving.
Pain.
Ooh, IVF, inserting the embryo.
The baby's head sticking out.
Babies, pushing, labour.
Cap.
Coil, the buzz feeling when it's pushed in.
Women.
Sex, just sex.
G-spot. That's up there, you know, near the base of the cervix. No, it's not something I think about greatly.
I don't know the word in Punjabi. Cook means womb. Maybe there aren't words for it in some other languages.
How come it's so cold?
Oh, God.
Fibroids. I had mine cut out. I was back in playgroup next morning.
Cervical cancer.
It's a female thing.
I don't think of sex at all.
I don't go. Just don't like going. I don't like it. I just don't. I've had a rotten married life. I mean, you meet women who've been through what you've been through, you know, with husbands beating them up. I met a woman on the bus, he tried to kill her. Made her stand in a bin, set fire to it. Oh, it means a lot coming here. I had a cup of tea with another woman. I couldn't believe what her husband did to her. I mean, I never went as far as her, though. She was homeless. I had a letter the other week, but I didn't go. The doctor has mentioned it, yes, but I am not interested.
I can always find it. Oh, yes. If someone can't find one, she always gets me in. Cervix Woman, they call me. Sometimes I find more than I bargained for. A bit of apple. And I said, oh, we'll have to get that out with a fork. Half a condom, a false nail. I was doing some training once, and this nurse had a bit of a complex about never being able to find a cervix. Then suddenly she thinks she's found two. Yeah, in one woman. But oh yes, big women, little women, fat, skinny or floppy. I can always find them. It can't hide from me. I've just always had the knack when it comes to smears, I suppose. Nothing ever puts me off. I used to work in GU, so I've seen everything. Penises dripping with green slime, vaginal warts, smelly discharges, the lot. That's where I was taught. It bothers me that people are doing them with little or no training. You have to make women feel at ease. I was doing some training the other day with a nurse and she come at the woman with a speculum already open like jaws. I said, no. Of course the poor woman clammed up. I warm the speculum and then I test the temperature for her by placing it closed, of course, very gently against the woman's inner thigh. Then she also knows it's near. This is all after having explained everything to her first, before she even gets on that couch. Inform consent, that's my motto. Just because a woman has come in saying she wants one, doesn't mean she's given her consent. She has to make her own choice after you've given her all the information. There's a very fine line between sexual abuse and having a smear test once she's on that couch. That whole area of our body, our vagina, it's sacred.
and I was lying on my back, my legs in stirrups, and as they cauterised it, there was literally clouds of smoke and this smell of burning flesh. And in the middle of all this, the doctor's head poked up, as it were, and he said, well, I know somebody you know, and I'm going for a barbecue with her this evening.
One time I'd gone for a smear, and it was one of those smears where they actually put me in stirrups. So I was in the stirrups and they were halfway through, and halfway through one of the nurses ran down the corridor outside the room shouting, Thatcher's resigned! Thatcher's resigned! The nurse doing my test suddenly stopped what she was doing and started leaping around the room dancing. Thatcher's resigned! The whole place had ground to a halt. So at least I know exactly where I was when Thatcher resigned.
Well, the whole thing was quite embarrassing, but the consultant was very dashing, well spoken. You have to sit in this chair with your legs open, no knickers, and all your whiskers and bits and pieces hanging out. And there were loads of other people in the room having a good old look. And I kept trying to move myself up the chair away from the consultant's face. But it was very close to my bits. He was practically disappearing up there. And he kept encouraging me to relax and slide down the chair towards his face. Now, you know as well as I do that I don't let anyone get that close to me until they at least bought me dinner. Okay, a rum and coke. Then my snatch was on the monitor for all to see. It was all mottled in pink. And the consultant talked about my cervix, how it was long and slim, obviously no children. Hated that bit. Wonker. And then he went on to say, wait for it, it was a work of art. There, it's official. And then he started sticking things up there and said I might like to look away from the monitor at this point. And then there was this distinct smell of burning. Oh my God, I thought my snatch is on fire. Well, the worst part is getting off the chair because everyone's looking at you, trying to make polite conversation. It's even more difficult when you have to try and put your knickers on. Then I came out and I cried.
Sometimes they've been in a rush and everybody's there with their ticket and you're just another person with another number and they've got to get you all through in just an hour. You go in there and there's really no time for you and they're busy and stressed and you're already stressed because you're not happy with the situation. And then they say to you, really coldly, get undressed, get on the bed. They don't want to talk to you about how you're feeling or what you do or what work you do or do you have children? Because they're feeling all sorts of things. They might just leave you quite coldly lying on the bed. Sometimes I wish it wasn't like that. Sometimes I think I've had someone who perhaps doesn't want to be there any more than I want to be there. They're looking at the time or they're thinking my tea break's late or they're worried about something. That's when you wish they could be a little bit more warm towards you, really.